Welcome to Movie Friends. We're your hosts, Seth and Michelle, and today we're talking about Frankenstein from 1931. Directed by James Whale, based on the novel by Mary Shelley, written by John L. Balderston, Francis Edward Farrow, Garrett Fort, Robert Flory, and John Russell. Cinematography by Arthur Edison and Paul Ivano. Makeup by Jack Pierce. Starring Colin Clive, Mae Clark, John Bowles, Dwight Fry, and as the monster, Boris Karloff. Michelle, how are you? And what do you think about that spooky song?
Ooh. Hey, Seth.
Is that you laughing in the new song?
I wish I could take credit for it. It is not. But upon that performance that I just did that I know I had in me, I probably could have done it.
Probably, yeah.
You think? There you go. You could have done it too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we did just do it.
We're talented.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Hey, we're here. October.
It's my favorite month.
Season.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
Your favorite season? I mean, your favorite month.
Yeah.
But no horror movies.
Correct. But there's so much more to October and Halloween than horror.
Is there?
Yes, like this movie.
Okay.
Right.
Which is definitely a horror movie.
Sure. But not everything has to be. There's levels of horror. Plus, like pumpkins and leaves and Halloween parties and like ghosts that are cute looking and not like I'm an 1800s scary child that appears.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm getting into the festivities. I'm wearing a Frankenstein jacket right now.
Yo, guys, Seth shows up in the chat and I'm like, are you dressed like Frankenstein? So I got it. I got the memo and I was like, can you please paint your face green? And he did. He painted his face green. And he has bolts in his neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did
I did it all in 3 minutes.
Wow.
But we're here.
We are.
This was the month that I was like dreading the most getting to because I was like, this will be the month that Michelle quits.
What? No. I would have quit in February.
Oh, okay.
February was my least favorite month that we've done.
Romance.
Yeah. I hated it.
Okay.
Except for About Time.
Of course. Hey, if you haven't heard the About Time episode, go back and listen.
We cried.
Yeah, it's an all-time great episode.
It's really good.
Speaking of all-time greats, we got an email.
From
Ben.
The Email King.
And he says, I am the Email King.
There you go.
He's responding to, well, we got 3 emails, by the way, responding to our 2001 episode.
Oh, no, I hope they're good. Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Are you worried?
No. You ever do that? You ever like, I'm Tim Allen on Home Improvement. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, I do. Oh, no. Yes.
All the time,
yeah.
right? I think we all do, right? Okay.
But I'll do like a, oh, no. I'll do more like a Rocky and Bullwinkle, like a little higher pitched. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
I can hear the voice in my head, but I don't think I can do a Rocky. Gee, Bullwinkle.
Right.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh. It's like,
yeah.
Whoa.
Maybe we'll be able to do it in a few years when we're old women.
Maybe.
So he says, Kubrick knows the moon landing pretty well, winky face. Listening to this, it reminds me of WALL-E. And definitely, so my kids rewatched WALL-E independently in the last few days. And yeah, definitely, like the autopilot thing is definitely Hal. And
Yeah.
Kubrick was a genius. No notes. I'm so glad they got rid of the narration. P.S. I'm on Mitch anti-robot /AI team. PSS, is 2001 a low-key horror movie? I think parts are.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
PSSS, is this Mopin movie?
A what?
PSSS, shocking turn of events, no rating.
I still feel the same.
Okay. That was pretty controversial, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you allowed it.
Well, what can I do?
You could have demanded a review.
No, of course not.
I mean, a rating.
That's not the nature of the show.
And I would have said, shove it, Seth. I'm out.
Oh my gosh.
I'm outie.
We got an email from Betsy.
Betsy.
She says, "Greetings, star children. When I was in college, I walked into my friend's dorm room when she was about 20 minutes into 2001: A Space Odyssey. I ended up, which, that's only halfway through the overture at that point.
Right.
I ended up staying for the rest of the movie. I got completely absorbed, and that is how I watched it the first time. In a truly good sci-fi, the movie leaves you with more questions than answers, and you feel ill-equipped to interpret any of it. 2001 absolutely fits that bill. 100%. Michelle used the phrase Kubrick eye, but I heard Kubrick eye, so now I want to start a mental arts studio where you are taught how to understand complex sci-fi." And then she says, "Live show? What? I was all set to go until you said you'd smell me, so now I'll pass. Loved the September movies. Keep up the good work."
No. I won't smell you, Betsy.
And thanks for bringing it up, Betsy. We are doing a live show, January 13th, Albany, New York.
Oh my God.
Details to come, but it's happening.
It's happening.
It's going to be great.
It is. It's pretty exciting. But what if, Seth, and don't
Yeah.
tell Betsy, but what if
Yeah.
we say we don't smell her? Wink, wink. And we just smell her anyway. She'll never
You
know.
can smell without going.
Right. She won't know.
You can just. You know how you can smell with your mouth?
Yeah. Oh, I don't like that.
Okay. Well, Betsy, we will not nose smell you or mouth smell you. Wink, wink. I mean, no wink, wink.
Right.
We also got an email from Felicia.
Felicia, yes. Her thoughts.
She says, "Hey, Seth and Michelle. First, great 2001 episode. Even though that film makes me angry, I still enjoyed hearing your takes on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm responding to your request for more background on why 2001 doesn't resonate with me and what the circumstances were / the environment / mood I was in when I first watched it." And then she said, "Great question, by the way."
Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
I would have watched this as a teenager, maybe 18 or 19, and it would have been one of the last Kubrick films I watched when I was going through his filmography. I will say I'm not a huge fan of sci-fi films. I like sci-fi television because they have more space to explore how vast science fiction can be. That being said, I was excited to watch this one. I am a fan of his work. My favorite of his is Eyes Wide Shut, which is also my favorite, followed by Paths of Glory, Full Metal Jacket, and Barry Lyndon. I just don't like Kubrick himself, and everything I don't enjoy about his personality / ego, and then in parentheses she writes, massive ego, and work ethic translate to what I don't like about this film. Is this film well made? Absolutely, but it does nothing for me. I find it self-indulgent because he thinks it's, and himself, is more important than it really is. I mean, Solaris is right there. Solaris is another sci-fi film from the director Andrei Tarkovsky. Came after 2001, but it's pretty amazing. Really, really stellar stuff. It's just so soaked in nonsensical symbolism that I actually feel like at the root of it, he has nothing to say. He just knew people would spend decades analyzing it. And that's quite possibly the smartest thing about him and his work.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Wow.
This is the nicest possible way I can describe my feelings on 2001. But I respect the love others have for it. That's the beauty of cinema. There are no bad films, just films that do or do not resonate with you. Love the show.
Very well said. Very well said.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think there are bad films.
I think so. But they are very few and far between, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. How many movies have you watched this year? Maybe you don't want to think about it.
I think my brain will explode. But I actually do want to add that up. I am curious.
Yeah. I mean, between this and the Patreon episodes and everything.
Insane. An insane amount.
But like out of all those, how many of them were truly like, bad films? You know?
Yeah, I know. I'm
real
just
small
kidding.
Percentage.
Yeah.
Maybe like Sidekicks.
What?
Just kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, if you want to be like those three people, send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com.
Anyway.
Okay, we've covered the emails. We've covered the stuff. Let's talk about Frankenstein.
Wait.
Oh!
Do you want to mention like this little giveaway we're doing?
Oh, of course. We're doing a review giveaway, by the way. If you like the show, rate us and review us on Apple Podcasts. From now till December 1st, it enters you into a drawing for a $50 Visa gift card. Just a little thank you from us to you.
We're still waiting for Mario to review himself.
Yes.
Reveal himself. Themself.
Themself.
I mean,
it's true.
You know. I will have to say I am proud of you. You seem to second guess when you have to mention what platform we're doing it on, and I know you want to say iTunes. So I know. Yeah. I'm proud of you. Apple Podcasts.
I don't know why my whole brain falls apart saying that sentence, but it does every time. Also, you just said Apple Podcast, and I heard apple pie. We're here, man. We're fall, upstate New York. It is apple season.
Yes. I love apple pie.
You know who would have loved apple pie? The monster.
I don't know about that.
You don't know?
No.
Okay. So before Michelle watches a film for the first time, she records her pre-watch thoughts. So let's go to that real quick.
I'm really excited for October and to kick off this month with Frankenstein, which I've never seen. I don't know how I've never seen this. I also never read the novel. And I know the general gist of Dr. Frankenstein and his monster and how he puts them together, what have you, but I really don't know much details. So I'm excited to see this and the fact that it, was filmed in 1931. Very exciting. Some food for thought that got me thinking. Growing up with the last name Rubenstein, people always mispronounce it, and they say Stein, Rubenstein. And it's like, oh yeah, look at Frankenstein. S-T-E-I-N, me, S-T-E-I-N. And a crazy story time, gather around. Okay, so my paternal grandfather, right, was Rubenstein, and my paternal grandmother was Rubenstein, and they were not related. And when they got married, a Rubenstein married a Rubenstein, and alas, the rest is history.
Okay, so I listened to that in the presence of my wife, and both of us at the same time over the Stein thing said no. Like, how is that possible?
Jews? I don't know. It's a true story, though. It's a true story.
Which I can't remember. What was it? Grandparent, great grandparent? What?
Okay, my paternal grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
So, right, my paternal grandfather is Rubenstein, and he married his wife, who was Rubenstein.
That's crazy. So your grandparents?
Yes, my grandparents on my dad's side, obviously.
That is nuts.
Weird.
I've never heard of such a thing.
I know. Not related, though. Not related.
So you are not Frankenstein?
No.
Yeah, you would be Frankenstein.
I'm Frankenstein. And that's what I've got. I mean, I've been called that. My sister in high school was called, I think she was called Frankenstein.
Oh.
As like from a teacher, like as in, it wasn't weird. It wasn't weird.
Oh, because it sounds not nice.
I know. Was it the Frankenstein? Yeah, something like that. But yeah, my whole life, it's like Steiner Stein. People can't get it right. I'm like, oh, it's because we got Frankenstein here. It's spelled the same way.
So have you seen Young Frankenstein?
No.
Okay. This will definitely come back up then, but
you know, as we were watching Frankenstein, Aunt must have asked me like 3 times, have you seen Young Frankenstein? And I would say no. And I'm like, and then he'd be like, oh, okay. And then he would laugh.
Just wait.
Yeah, just wait.
Got it. Hey, we should mention Anthony's the one who souped up our theme for Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, Anthony.
Thanks, Aunt.
All right, so what did you think about this movie?
It was fun. Do you want more than that?
No, I don't know.
No. I thought I have lots to say about this movie. I thought it was fun. I love watching something from the 30s. I love watching how this is a horror movie. I mean, I wasn't scared, but like if you really think about it, it's pretty effing creepy. Also,
Yeah.
like humans are the monsters, not really the monster that's created. Yeah. Also, no soundtrack or score.
Mm-hmm. I was really excited to go back to the 30s.
Yeah.
Like we've been kind of on this side of the century for a
Yes.
really long time.
Yes.
And so going back to, especially after your huge, I don't want to say epiphany, but your adamant line in the sand about CGI.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, there's not a ton of like effects in this. The makeup obviously looks really great and it's very iconic. But the effects that we do get in the lab, I love. Like I think it looks so great, and how they actually like put him on a bed with chains and like actually, you know, rope him up like 2 stories. And
yeah.
I would have been a little bit nervous to do that, but yeah. So were you surprised at like what the story is? Because I know you said you didn't really have any experience with like the book or anything like that.
Yeah, so I never read the book. Did you read the book?
I read like a super abridged version when I was like a lot younger, and the book and the movie are 2 very different things.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, a small thing is it's not Victor, it's Henry. But Victor is Henry's friend, who's all like, who are you, dude? You're very much into Elizabeth.
Victor is crazy.
What's going on? I mean, we can go into
Elizabeth.
that. Yeah, clearly wants Elizabeth. But I knew the general overall gist of where it was. I guess the thing I knew, how Frankenstein came to be, Frankenstein's monster rather, but the abnormal brain and his assist Fritz, right? Stealing
Fritz.
it.
Not Igor.
Not Igor.
Not Igor.
Yeah, which all like hunchback assistants are always Igor, right? Like, what's that about? But
Fritz becomes Igor in a few movies.
What do you mean? Like in Bride of Frankenstein and Son of?
Yes, I think it's Son of Frankenstein. He becomes Igor.
Oh.
Yeah. The next movie, I think his name is like Carl.
Carl?
Yeah, because Fritz is dead in Bride of Frankenstein.
Right.
So like there's another assistant, but I think he might still also be.
Gotcha. Okay.
Hunchback or something. Yeah.
So, yeah, I liked it.
How did you feel about the monster?
This is like such a loaded question, right? Because imagine watching this in 1931 and being like probably really afraid. Such like a tall stature coming at you. I mean, it is very creepy, but the caricature of Frankenstein is so in a thread throughout pop culture. It's not really scary. Like watching in 2023, you're like, oh yeah, it's Frankenstein. Like it's such a recognizable character. And so you kind of just feel bad for him because it's like, not for nothing, Henry, you created this, you went a little mad to create this experiment, have you? And then you're like, we got to kill him. So.
Well, not only that, but he's like, hey, I'm going to create this thing and then I'll leave Waldman here for a while and Dr. Waldman can just
right.
He can finish up the notes. I'm going to go get married for a while.
Right.
Yeah. That was the part of the movie that threw me for a loop the most, I guess, when I watched it. I was like, wait, this whole thing doesn't take place in the castle, and we're not like, it's not like a struggle between the two, and it's a real strange, I don't know, it's a strange kind of change of pace in the movie. So the movie is based on plays, because the book comes out in 1811, and there had been many versions of the stage play. There was one filmed version of Frankenstein prior to 31. Who's the light bulb guy? Edison.
Edison.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. So Thomas Edison, he had done a lot of work with like early records and also early filmmaking. And so there was like a 16-minute long Edison version of Frankenstein. And one of the major beefs that people have with this movie is that it's very, very different from the book. But again, this is closer to like what people were doing on stage, and like the setting of the book, it was more like expansive. It doesn't really make sense for the stage, right? In the stage, you have to have like a few scenes. I love the look of this movie.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Like all of the scenes, all of the, how the scenes are dressed, how the scenes are shot. The costumes, I think, are all really great. You had made mention of how much you liked Baron Frankenstein.
What a vibe. What a vibe. And like a little Richard Gilmore, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. He is not interested in like anything really, other than like maybe getting his son married and having a son of the House of Frankenstein.
That's it. Just the legacy needs to live on.
Right. Because even when like the mayor comes, which the mayor's name, I was very confused because they call him Burgomaster.
Yeah.
And I thought they were saying Burgermaster. So they're like, the Burgermaster's here. And he was so mad.
Yeah.
He was like, well, get him out of here. And I was like, what is the Burgermaster? Hold on, wait. I would like to see the Burgermaster.
Just show up to the house.
And so, that guy's like, well, when are we going to do this wedding? And even with that guy, he's like, just get out of here. Don't worry about it. Like, what is he?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what he does.
This wedding is a giant event for everybody. The whole town can only party if this wedding takes place. And let the beer be flowing.
Yes, I loved that line. He's like, it's amazing how many people you can get happy with just a few bottles of beer.
I mean, you're not wrong.
And then when he does show up at the castle and he walks in and there's like a torch on the ground. He's like, what are you trying to light the place on fire? What is all this? He's great. He's so funny. Yeah. He might be really the only funny character in the movie.
Yeah, without trying to be funny though.
Yeah, right. Without like straight up telling jokes and like slapstick and stuff.
Right.
Because like Elizabeth and Victor, it feels like very like melodramatic.
Yeah.
I do love Henry Frankenstein though.
Yes, absolutely.
Colin Clive as Frankenstein. I don't know. I mean, it is over the top, right?
Is it? Well, all scientists, right? When they have an idea, they're just very passionate.
Right.
So I don't really consider it over the top. I mean, people might say Doc Brown is over the top.
Right.
I think he's just very passionate. He has an idea and he's set on it and he has to get it done.
Right. Yeah, like the performance, when we start at the funeral and Frankenstein and Fritz are just kind of like laying in wait. And he's like, down, you fool. They'll see you. And then he makes him climb up and cut down the hanged man. And it doesn't feel, I don't know. It doesn't feel over the top. It feels at the top. It feels brimming with passion and insanity. But it I don't know. Like, I don't think you could look at that performance and laugh at him necessarily.
No, I definitely wasn't laughing.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing. Super casual. No big deal.
Did you know the "It's Alive" scene?
No.
Oh no?
No.
Oh man, that's super quoted like all the time when he's like, "It's alive."
Yeah. No. I mean, maybe without even noticing. Watch,
Mhm.
now this is all I'm going to see. And people are going to come at me and send me like things in pop culture and throughout my life. And be like, remember this? And I'll be like, oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's super, super. That's probably the most famous line from this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So Boris Karloff is playing the monster. He's not the first pick. They wanted Bela Lugosi. Bela had done that same year. He had done Dracula. Todd Browning does
Oh.
Dracula in 1931. And Universal, I'm telling this story like in such reverse steps. I should have just started at the beginning, but whatever. Todd Browning wants to make Dracula back in like 1920. But Carl Laemmle Sr., who owns Universal at that time, is like, no, I don't want to make Dracula. And so on his 21st birthday, Carl Laemmle Jr. is gifted Universal Studios. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
if
Some
that
get a
sounds like a
first
great
drink,
idea.
some get a studio.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so he, at the time, I think in 1931, he was 23. So he's 23 when these two movies came out. But he allows Browning to make Dracula. He makes it, and it's like a huge hit. It's like this huge hit, kicks off the whole Universal monster thing. I think that came out in February, and they started shooting Frankenstein in August.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so like real quick, what can we do? Who can we get to
Wow.
do it? And that's after, a lot of makeup tests.
Mm-hmm.
That's after trying to go through Lugosi and a different director. And then this movie comes out in November of that year.
Wow.
So very, very quick. So in the opening credits of the movie, I don't know if you noticed or not, it says the monster dot 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 question mark,
Yeah. I did notice that.
which is insane.
Yes.
It's the second lead of the movie and he's uncredited.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I was wondering about that. No, but I was gonna say in the very beginning of the movie, I like the little speech we get. Like almost
Yes.
you've been warned.
Yes. So that was added in. This dude, it's so crazy to look back on this in the year 2023, and there are some intense parts, right? But like you said, there's like levels of horror, and you would not think, "Oh, this is a horror movie." This movie back in 1931 was banned in multiple countries. States all across our country were trying to get it banned or have different scenes cut out. And the Hays Code hadn't been completely introduced yet, right? So this is technically a pre-code film, as they're called. But it was suggested like, hey, you can't show this to a general audience. Like people are going to freak out. And so they decided, like, all right, fine, we'll include a guy who warns the audience about what they're about to see, and if they want to leave, then they can leave.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, hey, this will be a fun idea, but they included it to kind of make fun of, I guess, or
Yeah.
mock.
Right. Like
Yeah,
a light PSA.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this movie comes out in 31. When Universal re-released it in 1936, right? 36 or 37, they actually had to cut more out of the re-release because the code had taken effect and people were just more, I don't know, upset by things, or there were higher standards of um, decency, I guess, of what they thought was decency.
Yeah.
And so yeah, the re-release actually had less stuff in it than the original version.
Wow. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm assuming they probably cut. There was a line about God, right?
Yeah, so that is the one that pretty universally was the reason why people were either against the film or it would
Yeah.
get banned, is because
Yeah.
he says, I think Victor says, "In the name of God," and Henry says, "In the name of God, now I know what it feels like to be God."
Right. Yeah.
Right. Which again isn't really that bad,
To
but they were like,
us today, it's
yeah,
not, but
yeah. But they were
yeah.
like, "Oh, this is like blasphemy," and
Yeah.
so that part had to get cut. I think seeing the monster throw the girl in the water had to get cut. Like you didn't see that part. You just see her dead later and them
Mhm.
interacting together.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a really, for that reason alone, it's interesting to go back and see this film and realize how much things have changed, but also how much things have like stayed the same because
Yeah.
people are still protesting content and movies coming out, and
Mhm.
you know, I mean, what we would consider to be like higher degrees of I don't even know what you want to call it, material, objectionable material are out there. It's still the same thing. People are trying to get things, not shown because it upsets them, it bothers them.
Mhm.
So it'll be interesting to see in another 100 years the things that people will watch the movies from today and be like, "What's the big deal? Like, I don't get it at all."
Ugh, man, that's weird to think about.
100 years from now,
Yeah. And what?
we won't have to think about it.
I know we'll be dead.
Hooray!
Yes. Unless someone brings us back to life.
Oh
Well,
my
parts of
gosh!
us, right? So
Right,
what
right.
should they take of you? They could take your head. They could take
Um,
my feet.
yeah, but don't you have small feet?
Well, we didn't pick a body yet. If it's your head, my
Oh,
feet,
okay.
then someone will.
That thing's already tipping over. It doesn't matter what is in between.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we could build our own monster.
Yeah, that is, I think, one of the, maybe the creepiest part of this movie to me is that he didn't just take a body.
Right.
He takes like all these different bodies and like puts a body together. Like,
Yeah,
why?
that
Like,
is
why
weird
would
to
you
do,
do that?
right? Like just take a body, probably easier. Unless you have to bring the parts, it's easier to schlep back parts.
Maybe, yeah. Carl/Fritz isn't that strong, and so you have to cut him up.
Yeah, and Henry's not doing any of the work. It's all on Fritz.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he was helping slug the old casket around, but
But like also they were carrying that casket with such ease.
I know.
It was just like, oh, no big deal. Let's just
I know.
casual bag of
They flipped it up
body.
inside the grave, and I
I
was
know.
like, I don't think you'd have a lot of wiggle room.
No, I don't think so. I don't think
But
so.
the grave robbing thing, back in 1811, as Mary Shelley's writing this book, that was a huge, huge thing. I don't know if you're aware of like grave robbing.
I'm not. So please educate me.
So in England, and I think somewhat in the States, I think in the States they started to really make it illegal. But I know in England it was a huge thing for years and years because doctors, physicians, scientists, surgeons needed bodies to practice on.
Mm.
And the only bodies they were given to practice on were criminals.
Mm.
And so, you got a lot of criminals, sure, but like how many are dying every single day or how many are executed? And so grave robbing became like a full on profession. There were professional grave robbers. They would come, they would, take the body and just bring them in bags naked to, so it was like kind of like unidentifiable, like, hey, I just have this body. And it was like a no questions asked kind of a thing. You could just show up at the surgeon school and be like, here's a body. And they'd be like, all right, here's, $30 or whatever. And this never happened.
Where's that show? I want to watch that.
I think they did. Well, I know that they made a movie. So do you know Sweeney Todd?
I love Sweeney Todd.
Sweeney Todd is partially based on the true story of two guys who were running like a hotel/eatery And they would
Oh.
like sometimes kill
Yeah.
the old residents and then sell their bodies.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. Oh, I love Sweeney Todd. Do you like Sweeney Todd?
I do love Sweeney Todd. Yeah.
Man, October should be 5 months long so we can cover like that as well.
So they actually started to develop booby traps in cemeteries.
Wow.
One thing that they would do is they would have tripwires and a post would come up with a gun on it, and the gun would swivel up and fire. And sometimes it would have like rock salt, sometimes it would be bullets, and it would shoot you. And so the grave robbers would send in spies who would pretend to be mourners, and they would see like, oh, they set up a trap over there, they set up a trap over there, and then they could come in. So then they started setting them up at night. But then people started getting shot for just going to the cemetery at night.
That is a
So that
problem. Mm-hmm.
right, so that couldn't be a thing. So then they invented a gun that would come up and fire on someone if the casket was opened.
Nice. That's a good edit. Yeah.
It's insane.
That's
though.
crazy. That's so crazy. So let me ask you something. Let's say you've just died, you've been buried, and your ghost is looking down. Sethy ghost is floating around.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, no, you're taking my body. I would be okay with it. Yeah, sure.
I would be. I'm an organ donor, like on my license.
Yeah.
So I would be okay with it, but I would maybe be like, oh, be careful, man.
Yeah. True.
And then they're taking all your clothes off. And the other thing is, so one, they would sell your body, but they would take whatever you were buried with. And so if you were buried with any jewels or, nice clothes, they were taking all that stuff. And
well, I mean, you're dead. It's in the ground.
It's true. It's true.
It's kind of like recycling.
And so they would start to have people watch over the bodies until the body would be like decomposed and useless for a surgeon.
Wow.
Right. Isn't that crazy?
That's so crazy.
Yeah. And so eventually, I think they just adopted programs of like donating your body to science.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I don't know who Fritz is supposed to be. Maybe Fritz was like a grave robber that he was like, hey, why don't you come work for me full time?
Right? Like, how did you recruit him?
Right. Yeah.
Like, how did that go? That whole process?
Yeah. Like, wanted someone to help me cut up bodies, put them back together again. You must know a little bit about electro engineering.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of chemistry. You have to be good with a torch.
Light errand work.
Yeah.
AKA stealing a brain. Okay.
Yeah.
He goes, we get this whole, we set the scene of like, here's the normal brain, here's the abnormal brain.
Yes.
Which also I appreciated seeing women in that classroom.
Sure. Yeah.
That was cool. Anyway, so Fritz goes in, oh shit, I knocked it over. I'll just take the abnormal one. But when we fast forward and it comes out that it was the abnormal brain, Henry was just like, oh, well.
Like he literally says, oh, well.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Okay. I mean, I guess at that point, I was like, wow, I thought you would react differently to that.
When he drops that glass jar, it's like, it's so silly. That part is like really over the top.
It did gasp. Also, though. Like, I gasped.
What's with the skeleton just like bobbing?
I know. I think because I took it as like just wind.
Like, I get it felt movement. More like a class joke because like it was moving and everyone's kind of like laughing like ah. But like back then that would have been a real skeleton. So like,
oh, true.
You kind of this feels disrespectful to the dead, but
oh yeah, you're right. Should we take a moment for the skeleton?
Yeah, R.I.P. skeleton.
Thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, he grabs the abnormal brain that belonged to a violent criminal.
Yes.
And so when I asked you earlier, like, how do you feel about the monster? And you said, like, it's a loaded question. Like, I agree. Like, it is kind of a loaded question because the Frankenstein that we know now I think a lot of it comes from Bride of Frankenstein, and some of it comes from a later Frankenstein sequel. And in that one, Bela Lugosi actually did play the monster, and he wanted to play him blind.
Oh.
And so in that movie, Frankenstein had all this dialogue, and he was blind, and he walked around with his arms out like this because he was blind.
Uh-huh.
And then once the movie was over, they were like, let's cut out all the parts where he can talk. And so all you're left with is Bela Lugosi walking around going, oh, with his arms out. And that's where the whole Frankenstein arm out thing comes from.
Oh.
Because in this, he doesn't do that.
No, I guess he doesn't. But in my mind, I think I filled it in because he walks, he kind of has like that staggered walk.
He just walks around in this movie. And he does kind of go like, ooh, but he's not like moaning like that. Yeah.
No.
And then in Bride of Frankenstein, he does talk, and he's also like a lot nicer. He kind of befriends a guy who is blind, and so he doesn't judge him, kind of like, exactly. And so like a lot of the stuff that we see of Frankenstein where it's like friend, that comes from other movies. But in this movie, apart from Maria, the little girl, he kind of is just like a violent entity.
But he's also like being attacked.
I agree.
They're like,
I agree.
Waving fire around him constantly. Then they have him trapped down on the bed, right? And it's like, well, how else would you react? That's what, like, it pissed me off. It's like you spent all this time to create, and then you're like, I gotta get married. I'm gonna lock my bride in the room. That drove me crazy. Locking
Frankenstein was very good at locking people away.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, I gotta do something. You stay here.
But also, I guess, like, couldn't face, like, obviously you can picture and imagine all the things that could happen, but then this happens, and you're like, oh my God, I can't take it. I'm going to faint. Give me some brandy on my lip to wake me,
Right.
Get the brandy. That will fix it.
Yeah. I think that is something from the novel, is that like Frankenstein creates this monster, and then right away is like, what have I done? Like, I kind of regret this.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like, that would, it kind of is very overwhelming.
So since we already just mentioned her, how did you feel about the scene with Maria?
Well, I liked the cat.
Okay.
The dad, gives her a cute little kitten, stay here. I thought it was sweet because, like, at first you're like, oh, this is really cute. The floral moment, they're just, here's how flowers float. And so, of course, he's like, oh, well, you would float. And I was like, oh my God, we're really throwing her. And of course, I didn't think she was going to die, to be honest with you, because I'm like, well, I shouldn't just assume, but I'm like, why doesn't she know how to swim? And then, like, this dad's a piece of shit. You never taught your daughter how to swim. You left this girl home alone. I'm like, Michelle, it's a different time. It's a different time.
But okay, I mean, I agree with you on that point of like, you live on a lake.
Right. But then it's like, well, my daughter knows not to go near, but she could have fell in. And also, how do we know she was murdered? What if she just tripped?
Well, he says, he's like, but which this Burgermeister or Burger guy, whatever they call him, the mayor,
Burger Mayor,
when he brings Maria there, and he's like, my daughter drowned, and the guy's like, well, why'd you bring her here?
I know.
I was like, dude, chill out, Burger Man. Like,
yeah, I know.
Dad just brought you like the corpse of his dead child. Maybe you could show some restraint, or he's just mad because the party that he had been waiting for was finally underway.
He really needed that beer.
He was like, dude, you're really kind of ruining things right
You're
now.
You're cramping my style. I need a hot pretzel and beer.
Yeah. For a movie set in Germany with a big party, I did not see too many pretzels.
No.
And that's upsetting.
I'm hoping. I don't know if the pretzel, was it invented yet?
Oh, it must be, right?
Right? Hot bread, twisted?
That's got to be an ancient German
That's what
secret.
I'm thinking too.
Right?
Yeah.
So after he kills her, though, he tries to save her.
Yeah.
Like a little bit.
Yeah. Well, again, he doesn't know what to do.
Right.
Yeah.
I get it. I think that if they had shown him accidentally like break her neck as he threw her in or something, but that would definitely be too far.
Too far. I mean,
for
he like grabs her and she's like, "You're hurting me," right?
Yeah.
And then he's just like, "Ugh." And it's kind of
Yeah.
comical watching the actual throw.
Yes. Yes.
But also, why don't you know how to swim? I don't know if when he squeezed her, did he? I don't know. Maybe something happened. Yeah.
Because also he throws her in enough water that she could just stand up and walk out.
Right.
Or that he could just walk in and grab her. Like, it's not like he throws her 50 feet out into the middle of.
Right.
He kind of tosses her 4 feet off of the beach, and it's just like, well, she's gone forever.
That's
I better run away now.
Yeah. And then she didn't, I guess she just stayed there. She didn't really float away because the dad got her real quick.
Yeah.
Like logistically,
Yeah.
Do you think we needed to see him carry her for that long of time?
Yeah, I do.
You do? I mean, it went on for a very long time.
Yeah, because when we kind of go to the outside of Frankenstein Manor or whatever, the village, we get kind of the same amount of time going through, and we see all the festivities and people dancing.
Yeah.
And then people doing like the line jog, dance, hop thing. And then we get the opposite of that when the dad walks through, and we still see all the festivities, but everyone that you see in the foreground is like having fun, and then they're slowly like stopping because they see her. And so I think it's great. It's one of the best shots in the movie, I think, and it's scary. Like, it's real.
No,
it's like,
it's
real dark.
Yeah. Okay.
Too long in a 70-minute movie.
Well, no, I got the dramatic effect of it. It was definitely powerful. But I was like, well.
How did you feel about the length, by the way?
Good. It's a good length. And in fact, when it ended, I was like, what? Well, the ending, it's just.
Well, yeah. We'll get there.
I mean, yeah.
There's another kind of unbroken shot when Henry and Elizabeth are going through the house, and we're walking through multiple rooms, and the camera is kind of outside of them and cutting through all the rooms without cutting. That's also a really great shot. But the monster escapes because I don't know what the doctor was doing. Like, I don't know what the point was. Like, they're monitoring, he's like, he seems to be regaining his strength, and all this stuff. And then he's just got him on the table, but like, he's not tied down. It's just him and his body hanging out. And honestly, for me, I was like, you deserved that one. Like, I don't feel bad for you.
I know.
Like, you guys subdued him and you've been experimenting on him for days, maybe. I don't know. Like, so anyway, he dies. The monster escapes. And what Maria's dad says is there have been murders. And so I think we're kind of led to believe that it's not just Maria's death.
I didn't catch that.
Other people.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah. Well, that's the Burgermaster is like, hey, why are you bringing her? Why do you think, what do I have to do with this? And he's like, well, there have been murders. There have been other murders. Oh. And the people are like, yeah.
Oh my God, the people.
Yeah.
The best, honestly. Talk about a hype crowd.
Yes. I actually Googled when was the first use of crowd torches in a movie?
What is it?
Thinking that they would be like, oh, it was definitely Frankenstein. No, there was prior. I mean, probably, I think Birth of a Nation is about the Ku Klux Klan. They definitely had torches in that. But yeah, these people, they're ready. If the beer is flowing, they're ready to just drop everything and party. If there's a monster on the loose, they're ready to drop everything and go on the hunt.
Yep.
Yeah. Even though Frankenstein is the one who created this monster, he's given charge of one of the groups to like hunt it down. Like, everyone's just like, yeah, Frankenstein, you're cool.
I know.
And I don't know, maybe he hasn't had time to explain to everybody, like, this is what happened. But it just felt odd that he wasn't like locked in a jail cell.
I also felt that way. Like no one seems to be yelling at him for the repercussions of this.
Hey.
And then I'm like, are they not aware that he created the monster?
Right.
They're like, oh, it's his wedding day. Like, can't be like, you know. Also, like a crowd, I think just loves fire. And like, if you're taking down a monster, like, let's do this.
Do you know how a torch works?
Honestly, I thought it's just a piece of wood and you light it on fire.
I don't think so. I think there's more to it. I think you got to wrap. I think there's like fabric at the end.
Is that so? Like a match? So it's like you're creating a match.
I don't know. I've always kind of wondered, like, how do you make a torch, but never enough to like actually learn how to do it.
Right. And honestly, if it was a piece of wood, that would burn real fast.
Right.
Your fingertips would be crispy.
Hey, if you know how a torch works, send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Subject line, torch.
Yeah. Teach us, friends. Someone's a Boy Scout out there.
Torch teaching.
Yeah.
So back to Victor and Elizabeth. Elizabeth loves Henry. Victor loves Elizabeth. Henry loves...
Henry?
Henry loves science. Henry loves Elizabeth, I guess, maybe.
Yes.
So this is like, I guess it's either like a day after the wedding was supposed to happen or a few days after the wedding was supposed to happen. And Henry is like, I gotta kill this monster. Like, I made him, I gotta take him apart. Victor, I leave Elizabeth to you. And Victor's like, no, I'll go with you. And Henry essentially like puts his hand on Victor and he's like, you're not listening to me. I leave her to your care. And like, again, he's almost like, if you know what I mean, wink, wink, if I die, you should marry her.
Yeah.
It's strange,
right? It is strange. And Victor's like, yes.
I wrote down in my notes, Victor is left with Elizabeth. And he's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. But like, in all honesty, right? Victor, at first, I didn't know who he was. We don't really understand who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, maybe he's a brother because he seems to always be around and he's with Baron and Elizabeth. But then he's the best man, which he also could still be a brother. But I'm thinking he's just like the best friend.
I think he's just the best friend.
Yeah.
Victor, the actor who plays Victor, looks like when you make a movie like The Great Mouse Detective.
Uh-huh.
Or like The Secret of Nim, and you draw a mouse to look like a human. That's what Victor looks like. Victor looks like a mouse became a man and then decided to become a Hollywood actor.
Wow. What an evolution of a character. Yeah.
So they go out on the hunt. They encounter the monster and they have this like standoff. And I didn't know really what was going to happen. I was like, will they hug? Will Frankenstein be like, he went that way, and then send him off the other way? But no, they kind of fight, and Henry eats it and he's carried off to the windmill. I mean, what's he gonna do? Like,
I know
he knows like how strong this thing is, and like he's just some scientist guy,
right? What are you gonna do?
I guess guns didn't exist at this point, but swords, something like
nope, torches only.
No, just torches. Yeah. I mean, he knows that he killed Fritz, and Fritz had a torch and a whip, which was like, Fritz was having too much fun. Honestly, like he was into antagonizing this monster.
I think Fritz was just trying to survive.
Fritz was like, I don't want to be next.
No, yeah, Fritz was like, I'm doing my best. I'm trying to survive. I don't think he was having fun because he was just demanded to do things.
But like, even after they left the room, Fritz was like, all right, I'm just going to hang out here for a while. Like, put the torch to him. It's like,
what a mess. It's a mess.
So we get the super iconic scene of the windmill being torched and, the windmill going up in flames, which I think still looks really great.
Yeah, it does.
Frankenstein yeets or I'm sorry, the monster yeets Frankenstein out the window. He hits the windmill blade and then just kind of laying there and then like flops to the ground. And it's people rush over to him and they're just kind of like, hey, you okay? It's like, yeah, I'm great.
Right.
Yeah.
I just got hurled.
I thought he died.
I did too.
Yeah, you would think he would be dead. I mean, the girl died after flying 5 feet.
Right. Yeah. The whole perception of death in this movie is really
right.
Yeah.
So then, to me, that's kind of where it should end. You know what I mean? Like, it should maybe be like a King Kong type of ending where like the doctor wakes up, looks at the burning thing and like says something and then the movie is over. But that's not where this movie ends.
No.
Tell me about the ending.
Okay, so it just kind of like happens and he's in bed and Elizabeth goes in, or there's like all the bunch of ladies out,
It's
right?
the maids.
The maids. Okay.
Yeah.
Honestly, like it happened so fast, but I'm telling you, I stopped it and rewound it with Baron speaking.
Yeah.
And all I remember is him just being like, you know, a cheers to House of Frankenstein. And then it's just black.
Yeah.
And I was
the maids are all like giggling. And they're like, oh, we thought that we'd bring him some of your grandmother's wine.
Yes.
And he's like,
wine.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So he like goes in and then he's like, he doesn't need this, but I'll drink it. And then he like offers another toast to a son of the House of Frankenstein. And they're like, here. And the movie ends.
It just goes to black. And I was like, wait, what? And I laughed. I laughed like a lot. Seth.
I mean, okay. So like go back to the windmill. Henry wakes up, looks at the burning windmill and says, you know, to the health of the son, to the health for a son of the House of Frankenstein. And the movie ends like there. That line plays totally differently and not strange at all.
How about Henry just doesn't talk and we just end on the burning of the windmill?
Sure. But that, I mean, you know, hey, I don't know about giving notes on a classic film from 1931. Of all the movies that we've covered, this might be the worst ending we've done so far.
This is like Lawstastic. This is just wow. And it makes me think, like, is this how the book ended? Did the actor who played Baron was like, I need the last word? Does this lead into something? Also, and like my second thing after I was done LOLing, I was like, wait, is Frankenstein the monster dead? And Aunt was like, he's just burned. And I was like, well, then how do we get Bride of Frankenstein and the son?
Right. And so, yeah, I mean, I think you should watch Bride of Frankenstein, especially like it's Halloween. You might
I do want to watch
like,
it.
Let me throw on another one.
Yeah.
So I won't spoil anything, but I'll say like
it doesn't matter.
Like the events of this one that you think are like very cataclysmic, it's just kind of like, all right, on to the next one and then in the next one. So
got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The first time you watched this, Seth, unless you already knew the ending, did you laugh? Were you like, what? Excuse me? Pardon?
No, I definitely rewound it though.
You did?
Yeah.
Because you're like, wait, did I miss something?
Like, literally, I thought like, oh wait, what did they say?
Yeah.
That I missed.
Yeah.
And then I rewound it. I was like, oh, I didn't miss anything. What does that mean? And yeah. No, it's an odd one. It's an odd one, but it's still a great film. So before we move on, like really quickly, we have to mention Jack Pierce.
Yes.
Jack Pierce.
Yes.
Yeah, he does the makeup for this. He also did the makeup for, I don't know, every other movie he did The Mummy, he did Dracula, he did The Wolfman, he did Bride of Frankenstein. Like, he is doing all of these
He's the
Universal
go-to
monster
guy.
movies. Yeah, yeah. And I think the makeup, when we first see the monster, when he kind of like walks backwards out of the door and turns around and his eyes are, he's like looking out underneath his brow and like the eyes are like rolled back in the head. I think it looks great. Like, it kind of looks seamless.
It looks so, so good. There is a video. I don't know if you watched it. I sent it to you. And they put it in color. And we can drop this. I don't know where Seth will drop this somewhere for you all. But looking at, because you're like, oh, I don't know if you feel this way, but sometimes you're like, with black and white, maybe things look better than they would. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But in color, seeing the makeup, it's seamless. It's so smooth. It looks great. But reading about Pierce and how he came up with the applications and using rolled cotton to create the forehead and the chemicals that they used and the smell, which probably was awful to smell all the time. I'm like, this couldn't have been safe to breathe in. But also the bolts on the side of the monster's neck, I was reading spirit gum to adhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that left permanent marks on Boris's neck.
That's crazy.
According to this article I read. So don't come at me if this is false information.
Sure.
But the video, Seth,
picture,
you should watch the video in color.
Yeah, I just saw that you sent that to me. I don't know why I didn't.
And I was like,
earlier.
I'm kind of really into this shade of green. It's kind of fabulous.
Are you thinking of updating your Halloween costume after watching this?
Man, I would love to be Frankenstein's monster one year, but alas, we are set in our Halloween costumes.
Anthony could be the monster, and you could be the Bride of Frankenstein.
I know, or we could just be Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster.
That's true.
Yeah, but we're good to go this year. We're good to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this movie is made for about 262,000, not million. These days it would have been.
Wow.
Box office numbers were different back then. Like, it wasn't like now where a movie comes out and right away we know all the numbers. So the best I could see was like, this movie's released in November. By August of the next year, it had made 1.4 million.
Okay.
And then, it's been re-released a few times, and so it's made millions of dollars since then. But again, it was a really big, real big hit, freaked people out. Like, the reviewers were like, this is a scary movie. In fact, Dracula, which had come out, earlier that year, that was the first time that someone had used the term horror movie.
Wow.
Yeah. And so Universal was really like, we're going to do, like, we're going to make these types of movies from now on. And they were widely successful and really changed the way that people made movies, monster movies and creature features.
Do you like Dracula?
I do. Yeah. It has great looks. It looks really cool. There's not a lot of story to it. I always imagine myself as 11-year-old Seth in like 1931. And I'm in like a crowded movie theater and I'm seeing Bela Lugosi as Dracula, or like I'm seeing Boris Karloff as Frankenstein for the first time. That, that image was burned into people's like memory, and clearly so, because like you said, Frankenstein is everywhere. Frankenberries and, Frankenstein Scooby-Doo, and it's been done over and over, like so much so that like the Frankenstein monster, I feel like, is like you think of like a mummy, right? And you don't think of the mummy as the mummy from the movie The Mummy. You think of a vampire or like Dracula, but it's just kind of like a category of monster.
Yeah.
Like, Frankenstein's monster is a category of monster now.
Right.
Which is crazy because it's one specific, like,
yeah.
We don't think about Edison's Frankenstein. We don't even know what that looked like. And the Frankenstein of the book looked nothing like this one. It is, this Boris Karloff and Jack Pierce Frankenstein that has, been duplicated and replicated hundreds and hundreds of times over and over, and it will be forever.
Yeah.
Including by me right now wearing this jacket.
And the green makeup that you all can't see Seth wearing. He just put it on real quick as he was talking.
So this movie's got 94 on Rotten Tomatoes, 3.8 on Letterboxd, 91 on Metacritic. And yeah, it's a pretty universally loved movie.
Yeah, I can see that. It's kind of a classic. It's a classic.
It's short.
Yeah.
So if you don't like it, you won't not like it for long.
Right.
So we reached out to some friends on Twitter to ask them what they thought. Felicia, who we heard from earlier, Cinnamoroni, she said, the scene with the young girl stressed me out so much I wanted to cry.
Oh, yeah.
Jamila, at Jamila Brownie.
Yeah.
She says, I love how the opening credits had a question mark next to the monster. Were they trying to convince audiences that it was actually Bela Lugosi instead of Boris Karloff? I don't know. Then she said, talking about Dr. Frankenstein, he really passed out, said, that's enough sciencing for me, planned a wedding, and forgot about his murderous creation. Like, really? Dr. Frankenstein sucks. Low-key hot, though.
Yeah, I get that. Totally. He can get it.
Carlo at Thief CGT says, it's a classic for a reason. Neatly crafted, great special effects and makeup, but most importantly, very entertaining. Karloff is great as the monster, and Colin Clive as the doctor, too. Yeah, Colin Clive, I think he's awesome in this.
He's great. His eyes.
When they show up in the storm, and he's just like, fine, you think I'm crazy? Come upstairs. And he's like, sit down. And then goes through the whole thing, and, it's alive. That's such a great sequence, and he really does feel like very much on the edge, and yeah, he's really great. Betsy at Gorm_Betsy says, I hope you can find some time to include the Drunk History episode about Mary Shelley and the creation of Frankenstein. That's a classic. And what I will say is, I did want to get that in, but I had some various work emergencies this week. And so I did not have time to do it, but I will be watching it.
Yeah, I'll watch that. I love Drunk History.
Oh, I love it so much.
Yeah, it's genius.
I've learned so much about history from Drunk History.
It's so good. Thank you, Betsy.
Ryan at The Real Ritter says,
Real Ritter.
Sounded like Cher for a minute. Still rocks almost 90 years later and doesn't really show its age as much as some of its contemporaries. More movies these days ought to think about wrapping it up at around 70 minutes.
Thank you, Ritter. My person, right there. Yeah.
Brick House at Awesomely's Hitty?
Whoa.
Something like that.
Brick House.
Says, what's really interesting is how all the big Frankenstein tropes come from the sequel, Bride of Frankenstein. The sequel is a banger. The first one is kind of average. And a few other people, Amanda, Jamila, a few other people said, they were like, yeah, this one's fine, but the sequel's better.
I mean, you know what I pitched to you? We were going to do all Frankenstein movies this month.
Well, and we are, in a way, but...
Well, you had to just one-up it and be more creative.
What I will say is, I actually disagree with all of these people. I think that this is the better movie.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to watch this. I can't believe I'm actually going to watch
a movie voluntarily.
Yeah. But
just break it up.
No, I don't need to break it up. What is it? 70 minutes?
No, this one's like 110.
You know what? I'll save it for my plane ride.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's my favorite time to watch movies.
Yeah.
On the plane. Cool.
We also got a voicemail from Newman from the Movies for Days podcast.
Newman, what is going on?
And he sent an accompanying photo, which we will share, and it will make sense afterwards. So let's listen to that.
Hello, movie friends. This is Newman from the Movies for Days podcast. So excited and delighted at your choice of theme for the month. as well as your first film that you're doing for the month of Frank-tober. Frankenstein, 1931, is my favorite of the Universal monster movies. He's my favorite of those characters. I think he has the most tragedy, the most sort of romance about him, the most sort of gothic melancholy. The performances are outstanding even to this day. I think Bride of Frankenstein is an amazing companion piece. They're both relatively short, so they work great, I think, as a double feature. James Whale is an absolute titan of filmmaking. All these years later, the sets that they have, the lighting, the camera work, the makeup, it's all so effective. And it just shocks me that this was 92 years ago? They got me doing math over here. Boris Karloff is amazing. Everybody knows that. But I think Colin Clive deserves a ton of credit as well, because his portrayal of Henry Frankenstein is chilling, to say the least. It's a movie my mom showed me at a very young age. It's a movie that always stuck with me. It's a movie I still watch in the scary season, because as much as I dig on the other Universal monsters, none of them come close to the fella I'll affectionately call Frank. And as visual proof for both Seth and Michelle, I have DM'd them a photo of my Frankenstein tattoo that I got on a date with my wife. She got the Elsa Lanchester Bride of Frankenstein on her forearm. I got Frank on my leg. And both Seth and Michelle are looking at that picture, hopefully right now, and maybe other people will see it too. Okay, happy scary season. Frankenstein is awesome. It's alive! Oh, in the name of God. Now that I've been on Movie Friends, I know how it feels to be God. Zach is real. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks, Newman.
Wow, Newman.
And you have a real dedication to this film in your tattoo.
It looks great, Newman.
Yeah.
I love this
and I want
tattoo.
I want to see your wife's tattoo. I want to see the Bride of Frankenstein one.
You know, I'm wondering if I'm thinking of what the Bride of Frankenstein looks like, but I'm confusing it with... No, it's the hair, right?
Yeah, it's the Marge Simpson hair.
Yeah, and it's black and then the white.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, duh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to see that tattoo.
So there's some people that we do know. Now we're going to go to a segment of the show where we hear from people that we don't know. It's called Half Star, 3 Star, 5 Star. Half Star, 3 Star, 5 Star. All right, so these are reviews from Letterboxd.com. We start with a half-star review, which is the lowest rating that you can give a movie. And we go all the way up to a 5-star review, which is the highest rating that you can give a movie. And the half-star review, I think I'm just going to read in a regular voice. I couldn't really think of... I guess I could do German, but no one in this movie really sounds German.
Nobody
I don't even know how to do German.
It's very... No, I don't know what it was coming out. Harsh sounds. Frankenstein. No, that's not. Mm-mm.
Okay, yeah. That is what German sounds like, right?
Aren't they just sound so angry and it's harsh?
These.
No. No.
This. How would a German person say this? This. No, that's Switzerland.
Yeah, that's not right.
Okay. Well, maybe I can't do a German accent.
You could just bring out Keanu. We were going to name, but nobody sent in any recommendations.
That's true. They failed us. All right, I'm going to read this in a British accent.
Okay.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's going to be rusty. All right, here we go.
Oh, this movie is stupid and bad. If you like this movie, you must be turning to ash as we speak, because you're so old.
What was that?
It was a British guy.
Kind of sounded like, what's his name? Fabian from Oliver?
Oh, yeah, okay.
The kid that isn't his name Fabian?
No.
It's not Fabian?
Well, yeah, are we talking about Oliver Twist, Oliver?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Oh. I don't know. I don't know where Fabian came from, but let me see. Oh, Fagin?
Oh, Fagin. I think Fagin's the old guy, ain't he?
He is the old guy. Whatever. Let's call him Fabian. Anyway, calling that character of yours Fabian. Okay, so anyway.
Sorry,
Wow.
that person said, if you like this movie, you must be turning to Ash because you're so old.
Wow.
So,
Ages
not even
much?
insulting the movie at that point. They're just insulting us. But,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
3-star review says, although visually stunning, Frankenstein suffers most today from how well known its plot is. The boring characters and striking similarities to other early Universal monster movies grant it no favors either for modern audiences. That said, the German expressionist inspired sets are really marvelous to look at. I think I disagree a little bit. Like I think most people know the form of the story, but I don't think they know all the details.
No, like me. I didn't know all the
Yeah.
details.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, 5-star review says, hard to say anything original about something like this that's been remade, ripped off, homaged, and referenced so many times. At some point, a film is beyond being merely good or bad. It's just a bedrock cultural artifact, a letter in the language of existence.
Whoa.
5 stars.
Wow. Wow.
You okay?
That's such an intimidating review, don't you think?
I read that and I thought, beautifully written, great last line. You kind of wasted it on maybe this movie, though. But, it's
No,
okay.
I don't.
But I do agree with them. Like, I think that, kind of like you said last week about 2001 kind of being unrateable. I'm going to give this movie a rating, but it's almost irrelevant. Like, what does it matter what this movie is rated? It's Frankenstein.
Yeah. And right. And also it's the first, right? It's the first. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Michelle has a rating system, which is a schmovie movie film. And then we rate the star 1 through 5 and, just kind of give the general vibe. So do you want to go second? You're looking quizzical
I do
now.
want to go second.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, finally. First time I get to go second.
Okay.
Let me go second always.
I didn't realize that going first was a burden.
Well, now you know.
You didn't either until you
That's right.
had the
I didn't know I could go second.
Of course. You can do whatever you want.
Well, I don't know about that.
Oh my gosh, you have no idea. You are like the darling of this show. When I put a reel out there, okay, which was, oh God, what was it? So Michelle makes the reels for Instagram, but as I'm editing the episode, I kind of like pull them, like I earmark them, so that both of us aren't going over tons of information. And so I thought that the smoker joke from the Fifth Element one was so funny. And so we put that up and it was funny, but so many people were like coming after me for that. Like, well, I thought the same thing. Or like, leave Michelle alone. And I was like, I'm not making fun of her. It was just a funny thing that happened. And all these people were like coming to your defense. And I was like, okay, I see how it is. And I see how people feel.
Well, I don't think they were coming to my defense. It's just like you were wrong.
Hey, I accept it. Clearly.
Yeah.
I know I was wrong.
Or just, yeah, not wrong. That wasn't like something to have a debate about, but.
If tomorrow you put out an episode that was like, we're kicking all Seth's ideas to the curb and we're doing this, I guarantee you everyone would just be like, yeah, great. Whatever, Michelle, whatever you want. It'd be great.
No. We couldn't do this show without each other. This particular one. If Seth was like, I'm going to talk about other movies, that would be cool. But if we did movie friends is equal halves.
Sure. Oh,
Sure.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I think so.
Yeah, maybe.
It's just that people like your half better.
Silly. Okay, what? I'm going second. Thank
right.
goodness. Whew.
Okay. I think that this is a movie film where I think that they set out to make a movie. Again, we have the 1931. So like the whole German expression thing isn't like so much a callback as like say like Night of the Hunter from 55. We're not so far removed from it. And so it seems to fit right into it, but it's beautiful. And I think that they intended for it to be beautiful and to look good. So that's why I'm calling this a movie film. I am going to rate this 4 stars. And I'll just reiterate that it's kind of irrelevant what I rate it because it's Frankenstein and it stood the test of time. It still looks good. I can attest because I watched it with my kids. The kids are still scared at parts of it. And this movie will outlive both of us.
Yeah. I actually feel the same way. And I don't want to be like, ditto. But also,
see, this is why going second sucks.
I know it really does suck because you're
Yeah.
like, I'm just copying you. But I like how you always give like a very, very smart attached essay to yours. And I'm just like, nope, movie film, 4 stars.
Right.
But that to be said, like I was battling between like 4 stars, 3.8 stars, but I really wanted to give it the 4 because it is Frankenstein and let's give it the respect. But like I can't give it 5. I don't know why I can't give it 5. Maybe because 5 is like a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
Type deal. Yeah.
This doesn't have a special place in my heart.
No. It was fun, but no.
Yeah.
No. But definitely movie film. 100% on that. Yeah. Like
Cool.
I think it started off as a movie and it turned into a film, like you said.
Okay, so we did it. We did a real horror movie, a classic.
We did do a real horror movie, didn't we?
We did.
I
yes.
never want to hear that this show didn't do horror movies.
That's right. We've got 2 now, Jennifer's Body and this one.
Oh, yeah. What? Oh, God. We are good. We cover everything here. That's it.
That's it. Frankenstein, Jennifer's Body, the 2 most important horror films ever made.
Cool.
But next week, I had said that these are variations on the theme. So we're not just going to be doing like 4 different Frankenstein movies because that would be very redundant. And I think the episodes would get shorter and shorter and shorter as we went on because we would just be looking at the differences.
Mm-hmm.
And so for next week, and I think this is a movie that you've seen.
It is.
Okay. But from a director that kind of surprised we haven't covered yet.
I know.
Pretty important American director from the 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially for our age group. You
Yeah.
know?
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to be talking about Edward Scissorhands from 1990.
Oh, my God.
Directed by Tim Burton. It's 105 minutes, and it is currently streaming on HBO Max, which is good because last week it wasn't streaming anywhere, and now it is.
Awesome. I'm very excited for this.
I am too. Spoiler alert, really love this movie. I would have seen this when I was like 5, like super young.
Yeah, spoiler alert. I love this movie.
Yeah.
And second spoiler alert, Ant doesn't think he's seen this movie.
Ooh, very cool.
Which is wild.
I'm going to show my 10-year-old for the first time.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. And I love this take on the story because it's a very different monster and very different reactions to the town and the people. And yeah, it's really great.
Yeah.
Hey, if you want to be really great,
That was good.
Yeah. We'd love it if you'd give us a rating and a review. Remember, until December 1st, it enters you into a drawing for a $50 Visa gift card. You can also reach out to us. Let us know what you thought about this episode. Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein. Am I wrong? Is the sequel better? Was that, in fact, a British accent? Let us know. moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. You can also tell us how torches work. You can also support the show, patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. It's $5 a month. You get access to 3 additional shows. You get access to our patron-only Discord. once we hit 50 patrons, you guys get to vote on a tattoo that, can be anything. I'm saying film related.
Yeah, Shrek. We're getting Shrek tattooed on you.
Yeah, if Michelle can sway the people, but...
Oh, I could sway the people. The people want this for you so bad.
Every time something Shrek related happens, by the way, I
know
5 to 10 messages from random people all being like, hey, look at these Shrek shoes. Hey, look at this Shrek Airbnb. Hey.
Like I said, the people want that.
Hey, did you see the lead singer of Smash Mouth died?
Yeah, and now I get all Shrek things too. But I love Shrek, so I'm okay with it.
And hey, like we said, we're going to be doing a live show in January. And, I'm just going to say it. Cancel your plans. Cancel your vacation for next year. Come to upstate New York in the wintertime. Hang out with us. It's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
Maybe we'll do a post-show pizza party. I don't know.
I was secretly hoping for that.
Maybe we'll do the venue has like a restaurant and bar and stuff, so we're definitely going to be hanging out.
Guys, this theater is so cool.
It is super cool. If your dream has been to be in a crowded bar with Michelle and I.
Uh-huh. Yep. That's right.
It can happen, man.
We're making your dreams come true.
You can sleep on my couch. All right? I'm just going to throw it out there.
Don't offer that, Seth. I'm not going to allow that.
You can sleep in my bathtub.
No.
I can fit 2 people, okay?
Head to foot.
I've only got 1 bathtub.
Right. So head to foot in the bathtub.
You never sleep head to foot.
What are you talking about? We have talked about this before.
No.
With a friend. You've never done head to foot?
Never.
Well, you're just so weird about feet, so.
Okay, but like, why would you rather have a foot in your face than a face in your face?
Because sometimes when you have a person who snores or if they're a mouth breather and you get the air and
flip them over.
No! Head to foot.
All right, let us know what you do. Are you doing head to foot or are you doing head to head?
I would actually like to know this. So for real, Seth always says, if you're a bump, this one is for real. Like, please tell us if you're head to foot.
Maybe I'll make this a poll.
Yeah, I think you should make this a poll. Head to foot.
All right, well, thank you, Michelle.
Thanks, Seth. Yeah, as always.
Till next week when we're talking about Edward Scissorhands. Thanks for listening. Have a good one.
Movie Friends is produced by Seth Vargas and Michelle Rubenstein. Music by Anthony Vicora. If you like the show, please subscribe and give us a rating. It really helps us find new friends. Thanks!